Today, it is May 24th, 2016, and I want to talk about Haggai 2 and the significance of it concerning the day of Jehovah's wrath and when it will come. Now, the first question I'm going to ask, I'm going to make a statement first. It is written that Jehovah predicts the end from the beginning. In fact, I will see if I can find it. All right, it's in Isaiah 40 and verse 10. 46 and verse 10, I'm sorry. Declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. So let me ask you a question then. Did Jehovah predict the end from the beginning? Well, we know by Isaiah 46 and verse 10, absolutely. And the next question is did he predict the day of his wrath from the beginning? Or from the ancient days? I think the answer is yes. And yet Yeshua said these words, no man knows the day nor the hour. Not even the angels in heaven, but only the Father in heaven knows. Now, we seem to have a discrepancy. We seem to have a problem here. But actually, this problem is easily solved. And I'll explain why. You see, Haggai 2 does give a date. It gives an exact date. However, no one can know the exact date until the 7 sevens of Daniel 9 begins. Now here in Haggai 2, this era began the 62 sevens unto when Messiah the Prince was cut off. Okay? So this is the days of Zerubbabel. And I will start reading in the very first verse. In the 7th month, in the 21st day of the month, came the word of Jehovah by the prophet Haggai, saying, speak now to Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, the governor of Judah, and to Yeshua, the son of Josedek, the high priest, and to the residue of the people, the rest of the people, saying, who is left among you that saw this house in her first glory, and how do you see it now? Is it not in your eyes in comparison of it as nothing? Yet now be strong, O Zerubbabel, saith Jehovah, and be strong, Yeshua, the son of Josedek, the high priest, and be strong, all you people of the land, saith Jehovah, and work, for I am with you, saith the Lord of hosts, according to the word that I have covenanted with you when you came out of Egypt, so my spirit remains upon you. Fear not, for thus saith the Lord of hosts, yet once it is a little while, and I will shake the heavens and the earth and the sea and the dry land, and I will shake all the nations, and the desire of nations shall come. So he's speaking of the day of Jehovah's wrath. But he says, once in a little while. It's going to happen once, but it's going to be a while. Then he goes on to say, in verse 8, that the silver and the gold is mine. So all the silver and the gold in this world belongs to him. And it will be gathered into Jerusalem in the last days. But I will continue. I digress, but I will continue. Verse 9, the glory of this house shall be greater than the former, saith the Lord of hosts. And in this place will I give peace, says the Lord of hosts. So he was speaking about this second temple that was being built by Zerubbabel. Now, verse 10, in the 24th day of the 9th month, in the 2nd year of Darius, came the word of the Lord by Haggai the prophet, saying, thus saith the Lord of hosts, ask now the priest concerning the law, saying, if one bear holy flesh in the skirt of his garment, and with his skirt do touch bread, or pottage, or wine, or oil, or any meat, shall it be holy? And the priest answered and said, no. Then said Haggai, if one that is unclean by a dead body touch any of these, shall it be unclean? And the priest answered and said, it shall be unclean. Then answered Haggai and said, so if this people, and so is this nation, or so is this people, and so is this nation before me, saith Jehovah, and so is every work of their hand, and that which they offer there is unclean. And now I pray you consider from this day and upward. From what day and upward? The 24th day of the 9th month on the Hebrew calendar. So he's saying, consider that particular day. From before a stone was laid up upon a stone in the temple of Jehovah. Since those days were when one came out to a heap of 20 measures, there were only but 10 measures. So the blessings were only by half, is what he's saying. And one came to the press fat for to draw out 50 vessels out of the press. There were but 20. That was even less. I smote you with blasting and with mildew and with hail in all your labors of your hands. Yet you turn not to me, saith Jehovah. And quite frankly, folks, this is what's happening right now. The same thing in Israel. The blessings were not great. People are barely subsiding. Now he says this again in verse 18. Consider now from this day and upward, from the 24th day of the 9th month. Now, when he starts saying this twice, folks, you better pull your calendar down, open it up, and mark it. And I'll explain why in just a minute. Even from the day the foundation of Jehovah's temple was laid, consider it. Is the seed yet in the barn? Yes, as yet the vine and the fig tree and the pomegranate and the olive tree has not brought forth. From this day. From what day? Listen again. From the 24th day of the 9th month. That is the day he's going to bless Israel. So, you see, the Jews had already come back from Babylon. They already They were trying to get things ready to prepare for the temple to be built, but they were not being blessed because they were unclean before Jehovah. But he says, consider this day and upward. It is on this day, the 24th day of the 9th month. And then from that day, he's going to bless Israel. And so in the future, it is the same. It is exactly the same. And that's how I know that Jehovah gave a date. Verse 20. And again, the word of Jehovah came to Haggai in the 24th day of the month, yes, the 9th month, saying, speak to Zerubbabel, governor of Judah, saying, I will shake the heavens and the earth, and I will overthrow the throne of kingdoms, and I will destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the heathen, and I will overthrow the chariots, and those that ride in them. Chariots, yes, we have chariots today, we call them tanks. And the horses and their riders shall come down, every one by the sword of his brother. That, my friends, is the Ezekiel 38-39 war. It is also the war in the valley of Jehoshaphat as well. And yes, everyone by the sword of his brother. So, in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, I will take you, O Zerubbabel, my servant, the son of Shealtiel, saith Jehovah, and I will make you as a sign. For I have chosen you, saith the Lord of hosts. Now, a sign. Well, it's the same thing in the days of Zerubbabel. The call was made. I believe it was Zerubbabel who made that call to rebuild Jerusalem. So he is made a sign. And in those days it was 62 weeks, or 62 weeks, from the day that Zerubbabel made the call to rebuild Jerusalem. So today, when Jerusalem was retaken once again, and Rabbi Shlomo Goren made that call to rebuild Jerusalem once again, once this happens, we are supposed to consider that day. We're supposed to go back to Haggai 2 and consider this day a special day, the 24th day of the 9th month. And that is the day that he is going to bless you, Israel.